Good morning, dear students. Today I shall take up the poem Television by R Dahl. This poem Television contains 93 lines. The poem is written in free verse. The poet's main aim is to give a message and not to create any special poetic effect. The poet uses rhyming couplets with the exception in lines 31, 32 and 33. And the rhyme scheme is AABB. The poet uses personification figure of speech by giving human qualities to the television. The quality to kill something. The poet uses apostrophe and rhetorical device while addressing his poem to the parents and absent audience. The poet is addressing this poem to an absent audience. Only one simile occurs in the poem. His brain becomes as soft as cheese. Here simile figure of speech is used. Simile is a figure of speech in which words of comparison as so like are used. In this figure of speech, a comparison is made between two objects of different kind which have at least one point in common, and the words of comparison as so like are used. Personification is a figure of speech in which lifeless objects are thought of as living beings. The most important, let us start this poem, television. The most important thing we have learned. The most important thing we have learned. We means we are referred to the poet and the parents who are unaware of the bad effects of television, which is affecting their children's future and killing their time. The most important thing we have learned so far as children are concerned is never let them near your television set. This is, the poet is addressing to an absent audience, and the poet wants that television is a monster, television is a devil, and the devil television is destroying the creativity of our children. So as a parents, it is our duty not to allow our children to see, to watch television for a long time. The most important thing we have learned so far as children are concerned is never let them means children, never let the children near your television set, never allow your children to sit near the television set. Or better still, just don't install. Install means fix or set. Okay. The poet tries to reason and convince the parents that television set is useless, and the parents should not install the television in the first place. Or better still, just don't install the idiotic thing at all. Idiotic thing refers to what is being telecast on television. Idiotic thing refers to what is being telecast on television. The poet says, the poet tries to give reason, the poet tries to convince the parents not to install a television set because television broadcasts fabricated and distorted picture, and by broadcasting fabricated and distorted picture of the contemporary social reality, it is destroying the children, it is destroying the creativity of our children. It is a monster, it is a devil, so don't allow your children to reach near the devil, to come in contact with this devil. In almost every house we have watched them gaping at the screen. In almost every house in almost every house we will find a set of television. We have watched them gaping at the screen. Gaping at the screen means watching with eyes wide open for a long time. Children switch on the television set and continuously, without doing any work, without disturbing their parents, they are watching and staring at the television screen. Okay, we have watched them gaping at the screen. They loll. Loll means to act in a lazy manner. They loll and slop. Slop means spend time lazily, and lounge about to sit or lie in a relaxed and idle way. They loll and slop and lounge about and stare until their eyes pop out, and they stare at the television screen continuously like a lazy person. They act and behave like a sluggish and inactive person. And slop means spend time lazily, and lost about to sit or lie in a relaxed and idle way near the television. That's why, according to the poet, the eyes of the children pop out when they keep watching television for too long and with no stopping. In other words, he tries to say, the poet tries to say that their eyes are harmed due to the continuous watching of the television. So do not allow your children to be in contact with this monster, this devil. Television is a monster, television is a devil. So don't allow your children to come in contact with this devil. Last week in someone's place we saw a dozen eyeballs on the floor. Metaphor is used here. He uses this figure of speech to make the poem more amusing and more interesting. Last week in someone's place we saw a dozen eyeballs on the floor. They sit and stare and stare and sit until they are hypnotized by it. Hypnotized means attracted in a powerful and mysterious way. Television screen attracted the children in a mysterious way. Children are attracted and hypnotized by the screen or by the things that is being telecasted on the television set. Children are hypnotized by those things. They are highly influenced and controlled by the charm of the television, charmed by the programs which are being telecasted on the television set. Last week in someone's place we saw a dozen eyeballs. Okay. Okay, a dozen eyeballs, a lot of children are there and their eyeballs are staring at the screen of the television set. Eyeballs on the floor, they sit and stare and stare and sit until they are hypnotized by it, until they are absolutely drunk with all that shocking ghastly junk, until they are absolutely means completely drunk, means children are completely attracted and hypnotized by the program that is being telecasted on the television sets. Okay, so the poet warns the parents, the poet tells the parent not to allow your children to sit near the television set because it is a monster and it is destroying the creativity of our children. Until they are absolutely drunk, until they are completely drunk with all that shocking ghastly junk. Shocking means frightening and ghastly means useless stuff. Shocking ghastly means frightening and junk means useless stuff. Okay, shocking ghastly junk are addressed to the programs which appear on the television set. Okay, with all that shocking ghastly junk, are addressed to the programs which appear on the television set. Oh eyes, we know it keeps them still. Still means silent. Oh eyes, we know it keeps them still. Television keeps the children silent. Okay, oh eyes, we know it keeps them silent. Parents are well acquainted with the fact that if they allow their children to see the television, they will remain silent and their acts of mischief will disappear all of a sudden. And they will be able to, the parents will be able to do their work without any disturbance. That's why we know, means parents know it well, it keeps them still. Television keeps the children silent. They don't climb out the windowsill. They will not climb on the windowsill. They never fight or kick or punch. Punch means box. They never fight with each other. They never kick to other or punch or box. They leave you free to cook the lunch. And in this way, mothers will be free to cook the lunch without any disturbance. That's why the poet says, we know it keeps them still. We know that the television keeps the children silent. They leave you free to cook the lunch. Okay, children will allow the parents to cook the lunch without any difficulty. Okay, and wash the dishes in the sink, and the parent and the mothers will wash the dishes in the sink. And did you ever stop to think, to wonder just exactly what this does to your beloved? Todd means child. Todd means child. Okay, but did you ever stop to think? The poet asks a question to his silent audience. The poet asks a question to his silent audience. Did you ever stop to think, to wonder just exactly what this does to your beloved Todd? Todd means a child. Okay, what has happened to your children? What has happened to your children after switching on the television set? Okay, after switching on the television set, you will see a special kind of change. Okay, a special kind of transformation in your children, and such a transformation is due to the devil, is due to the monster, is due to the Satan television. It rots the cells in the head. Television is a monster. It rots, it decays the cells in the head. It decays the sense, the sensibility of the children. It destroys the creativity of the children. It kills the imagination power of the children. It kills imagination dead. It torts the sense in the head. It kills imagination dead. Okay, television is a monster that destroys the sensibility of the children. Television is a monster that kills the imagination power of the children. It clogs and clusters up the mind. It clogs, it blocks the mind and clusters and covers or fills something with an untidy collection of things. It clogs, it blocks the mind and fills it with useless thoughts. It clusters up the mind. It covers or fills something with an untidy collection of things. It makes a child so dull and blind, and television makes the child dull. Television makes the child blind. He can no longer understand a fantasy, a fairyland, and that's why, due to the bad effect of the television, a child is unable to differentiate. A child is unable to tell you the difference. What is the difference between a fantasy and a fairyland? A fantasy, something that is produced by imagination. Okay, and a fairyland, his brain becomes as soft as a cheese, means very pliable. His brain becomes as soft as a cheese. Television makes the brain of the children very pliable, very flexible, very smooth, just as soft as cheese. Here simile figure of speech is used. Simile is a figure of speech in which a comparison is made between two objects of different kind, which have at least one point in common. In this figure of speech, the words of comparison as so like are used. His powers of thinking rust and free. Due to the bad effect of television, the imagination power, the thinking power of children disappears. His powers of thinking rust and freeze. Okay, rust and freeze. His imagination power destroys. Okay, he cannot think, he only sees. Okay, he will become a block-headed child. He will become a block-headed child. He will become a dull-headed man due to the bad effect of the television, due to continuous staring at the television screen. All right, you will cry. All right, you will say. But if we take the set away, what shall we do to entertain? But if we take the set, if we take the television set away from the eyes of our children, what shall we do to entertain? What shall we do to amuse our children? What shall we do to entertain our children? Our darling children, please explain. We will answer this by asking you. The poet says that we will answer this question by discussing with you, by asking a question to you. What use the darling wants to do? What use the darling's beloved wants to do? How used they keep themselves contented? How used they keep themselves contented means satisfied before this monster was not invented. The poet asked a question to his readers, to his silent audience, when there was no television, how the parents were amusing themselves, how they were entertaining themselves before this monster was invented. Television is here called a demon for its wicked influence. The poet called television a demon. The poet called television a devil because television produces a bad, wicked influence on the children and destroying the imagination power and destroying the creativity of our children. That's why the poet says it is a monster, it is a devil. Have you forgotten? Before this monster was invented, have you forgotten? Don't you know? We will say it very loud and slow. They used to read. They used read and read. Okay? And read and then proceed to read some more. Great Scott. An expression of surprise. Okay? Gadgets. An exclamation of surprise or annoyance in large number of amounts. One half their lives was reading books. One half their lives was spent in reading books. The nursery sells held books. Glare means in large number of amount. The nursery sells held books. Glare. Books clustered. Books crowded up the nursery foot floor, a room meant for young children. And in the bedroom, by the bed, and in the bedroom, you will find a lot of books there. By your bed, more books were waiting to be read, and other books were also waiting in the shelf that the person will read after finishing the books which he is still reading. Such wondrous, fine, fantastic tales of dragons means of mythical monster, gypsies, wandering people, queens and whales, and treasure isles, and distant shores, where smugglers rode with muffled oars. Oars means a long pole with a broad blade at one end used for propelling or steering boat, where smugglers rode with muffled oars and pirates wearing purple pants. Such kind of stories the parents were reading when television was not invented. Okay. And sailing ships and elephants and cannibals, one who eats the flesh of its own kind, crouching round the pot, staring away at something hot. It smells so good. What can it be? Good gracious, it's Penelope. Sweet smelling dish which is used for fun. Okay, here Penelope, the name of the wife of a great Greek hero Odyssey. Here the name of a dish. It smells good. What can it be? Means when the parents were reading different kinds of stories, they were amusing themselves by reading those stories. The young ones had Beatrix Potter, an English writer known for children's book, with Mr. Todd, the dirty rotter. Rotter means unpleasant person. The story of young pig by Potter. Okay, with Mr. Todd, the dirty rotter, and Squirrel Nutkins, Piggling Blades, okay, and Mrs. Stingy Wingle, and just how the camel got his hump, how the monkey lost his rump means the hind part of the body of a mammal. Such kind of stories the parents were reading, okay, and they were amusing themselves. There is Mr. Rat and Mr. Mole. They were also studying the story of Mr. Rat and Mr. Mole. Oh, books. What books they used to know? What books they used to know? Those children living long ago. Okay, those children living long ago means when the parents were children, they were living the stories mentioned above, and they were amusing themselves, they were entertaining themselves. Okay. Oh, books. What books they used to know? Those children living long ago. So please, oh please, we beg, we pray. The poet begged the audience. The poet praised the audience. Go through your TV set. Okay. Go through your TV set. Throw your television set before the eye of your children to save their life, to save their creativity, to save their imagination. And in its place you can install a lovely bookshelf on the wall, and in place of television you can install a beautiful bookshelf and fill that bookshelf with beautiful and fantasy and fairy lands related stories books. Then fill the shelves with lots of books, ignoring all the dirty looks. When you will remove the television set, the children will stare you. The children will be angry at you, but don't be deviated from the dirty looks of your children. The screams and yells, they will scream and yells, they will cry. The bites and kicks, sometimes they will bite you, sometimes they will kick you. And children hitting you with a stick, sometimes they will pick up a stick to hit you when you will remove the television set before their eyes. Fear not, do not fear, because we promise you that in about a week or two of having nothing else to do, when they have nothing to do, they will start reading the book. They will now begin to feel the need of having something to read. After some time, they will realize the importance of the book. The day they will realize the importance of the book, they will take a beautiful book, and once they start, oh boy, you watch the slowly growing joy. And the day they will take a book from the shelf and start reading, and they will realize the importance of the book. From that day, they will not stare at you, they will not be angry with you. You watch the slowly growing joy that fills their hearts. They will grow so keen, they will wonder what they had ever seen in that ridiculous machine. That they will realize that the time which they spent in watching television, that time they wasted, and the time which they spent in reading books, that time was very beneficial for them. That nauseating means disgusting, foul, unclean, repulsive means hateful television screen, and later each and every kid will love you more for what you did, and at last all the children will start loving you. Okay, here some places the poet uses capital letters. The poet uses all capital letters in this line so as to emphasize the things. He wants to emphasize the misuse of television. He wants to emphasize the television as a monster and a devil. That's why some words the poet uses here in capital letters. Okay, thank you.